Welcome. Gather around the digital campfire here for another edition of 29 Questions for the Ordinary Life. We are Kate and Tanner Wendell, and today's question is that really the color of your hair?
So apropos after coming off of yesterday when I just colored my hair. First off, shout out to our stylist. We actually go to the same stylist.
She stole my hair, woman.
You offered her to me.
That's right.
And she was making these no contact home color kits and giving color to her clients, really just for roots, like nothing super high tech, but just to get the roots and get some color done while we're still social distancing
at a fraction of the price.
Yeah,
well, a fraction, maybe like half of the price.
Yeah, about half the price.
And while I'm thinking about it, if you're tuning in, please give us a comment and let us know where you're tuning in from.
Make sure you can hear us.
Any other encouraging words that you'd like to share? We'd love to hear your comments.
Yeah, we always love hearing from you. So definitely send us a message.
So you dyed your hair yesterday. Thursday, our stylist, Deb Hilgert, dropped off a
little goodie bag
kit.
Yep.
Whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Home color kit. And it had the two, like the color and the mixer, whatever it is, right? And then 2 containers with a brush, a comb to be able to separate your hair to get into the roots, a cape. I think there was something else. I didn't use the cape. Anyway, but
shout out to Deb for,
seriously,
for innovating, right? Like I know some places that are physical places like that that's one of the toughest ones, because it's like, well, you're not able to cut hair or dye hair or do makeup or whatever on
nails,
Zoom.
Pedicures, manicures, like can't do that stuff right now.
Yeah, a lot of businesses have evolved to serving their clients over Zoom, and we've always used Zoom for business, so we're just very fortunate. But a lot of brick and mortar have had to evolve. Some of them have just closed, and they're in the wait and see status, busy filing their paperwork and chasing the changing rules of the government stimulus package. And then there's other ones that are innovating. I know another one in Utah who, they're just doing all sorts of like crazy social media content, and they're offering different, like tips and styling tips and ideas and all this other stuff. And it's just a way are my roots turning gray?
Right.
I don't know that my roots are, but I have I do have some random gray threads coming out. More and more.
You were picking them out the other day. They're actually like falling out. It was crazy. They were, because the gray hair gets so thick once the hair follicle really turns gray. And
it's like
so
wire.
Thick.
It's like wire. He wants to know if that's why I'm wearing my hat. No, the reason generally when you see me with my hat or my hair in a man bun, it means that I have not washed my hair in a number of days.
Fussed with it, or it's cold.
Cold.
Yeah, you do. You do wear your hat when you have a decent hair.
And
day.
Just generally, it does like get in, my eyes. So.
Yeah. But yeah, no. So I did. So again, big shout out to Deb. And I messaged her afterwards because I was like, there's, the combs that have the really fine point at the end, and stylists do this so well, where they can slice the hair, get into the root, put the color in, flip it over, slice it again, right? And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. But anyway, I got it into the roots. I think I did a pretty decent job. Can't see my grays, but I don't know what the back of my head looks like. But big shout out to Deb. And I texted her and I said, I will be happy to pay you again to do my roots. Like, I cannot wait to be able to go back into the salon and pay for her services, because well, one, she does a great job, but two, like, it's a true talent that people have in being able to do these things that I'm really not that good at it, doing it by myself.
That's an interesting point, because I did see, and this isn't all about hair.
It's not.
Some philosophical conversation here.
We'll get into
from the
chapter.
book, but places are shut down, right? And it's going to be a while. And I've seen a lot of conversation in a lot of different groups, different business owners, people that are trying to do things online, so on and so forth. And there is, I've seen a scarcity mindset among some of the business owners that are like, well, if I offer this to my clients, or I teach them how to do this or whatever, if I offer some service that doesn't require them coming into my business, and we've actually had this, I can think of some other situations just in terms of people offering some of our wellness products in their brick and mortar facility. And the thinking is that, well, if I offer them something outside of my building, I'm concerned that they won't come back into my building. Yeah. And I think what you're saying is actually the opposite, which is that you're building goodwill with me. You're building actually appreciation for what you offer, because I know that I'm not able to do it as well at home. And I just think that as a business owner, the more touch points and the more ways that you can serve your clients, the better off.
Yeah.
And many business owners, especially small business owners, and maybe like, one location brick and mortar places, look at that with maybe a little more of a scarcity mindset, which is like, I offer this one thing, I just want them to come here for the one thing. And I don't want to detract from that, which I respect. But there's a missed opportunity there that if you have other ways to serve your clients, be it because we're on sort of quasi lockdown or not, there is value in serving your clients in ways that makes sense. Now, it wouldn't make sense for her to start like serving hamburgers or to go food or something, but something that's in the realm of whatever the industry that you're in. I think there's a lot of value.
And and think about you already have a good relationship with this person that you're going to for whatever the service is. And what if for them to offer other things that would just enhance that relationship? Like why wouldn't both parties be open to that? So
the Chicago mayor got called out for getting her hair done during quarantine. There is hypocrisy in our democracy, my friend.
Yeah.
There is hypocrisy in our democracy. We better not go too far down that rabbit hole. Otherwise, we'll be here all night. We'll never get to the point of the topic, which is
that really the color of your hair is the question. The name of the chapter is Liposuction, Fanny Tucks, and Wrinkles. And the start of this chapter, we dim the lights and I don't have my glasses on. So now I'm like really struggling. Just for the record, I'm going to be almost 45 and my hair is completely salt and pepper. And yes, I like to color my hair. But what his point is, and I need glasses. But the point that he goes in here about the aging process, are we doing it because of superficial reasons, or are we doing something because it's what sort of, just kind of helps just sort of make us feel a little bit better, right? Like, I know that I'll feel more comfortable in my own skin having like hiding my gray hair. Like, I think that to me does not seem attractive. There's nothing wrong with taking care of your outer appearance. It's why we exercise and we eat well and we maybe dress a certain way. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, but go into the deeper reasoning of why we do some of these things for this outer appearance. And he says, I believe that the aging process causes us to move to our interior selves because when the outside no longer cooperates, there is one place that will, the interior self. And I think a lot of people are scared of that. Like people don't want to dig deep into who they are as a person and have that individuality. We've been told since we were children that, if there's something different or unique about you, that's sort of a bad thing, or you want to blend and be like everyone else. And so you don't have that uniqueness that's celebrated, authenticity. And really the underlining thing here is about being authentic to yourself.
Yeah, I like that as the point of this chapter. It's not about judging people, and where my mind goes, and I won't go too far on the tangent, but if you've seen people, Hollywood is sort of famous for this, but if you see people that have started doing like plastic surgery or Botox or like some of these cosmetic type surgeries, and man, there are some of these I'll just say women because it's mostly women, but there's some guys that like
A few, yeah.
literally end up looking like like mannequins or like fake people. And it's because it becomes a cycle of like, well, I did that one thing, but now I see this other imperfection and blah blah blah, and it just becomes this thing about fixing yourself and fixing your outer appearance. And I'm a big believer that that's all about not being comfortable from the inside out. And so
Yeah.
I think the point of the chapter here is about it's easier to cover that up and when you're younger and your body just naturally looks better, good, attractive, whatever. But as the hair starts to fall out, as it starts to gray, as things start to sag, as the wrinkles inevitably come, so on and so forth, there is a calling to go inward, and there's an appreciation, and I think a lot of people, that's why most old people just don't care what they say. Right? You get to a certain age, and it's not always good. Some people are just old and grumpy and freaking vulgar. But there is a level of lack of caring or lack of concern that can be healthy, that is healthy
Mhm.
in what you say and how you come off. And I think that's his point, is that as the outside appearance starts to wither and age, there's an opportunity to go within and really just develop yourself and work on yourself internally. And I think regardless of what age you are, where you're at, what you look like, how you feel about yourself, how you look, any of those things, that there's always an opportunity to go within and work on things inside of yourself. And that if we would spend more time, as a general statement, as a general population, if we would spend more time or even as much time on the inside as we do as the outside, things would look a lot different in our society. And
Amen.
one of the analogies or comparisons that really stuck with me over the last couple of years is, people brush their teeth twice a day. For many people, let's just say even once a day, once to twice a day, people brush their teeth. And usually, if you're following the recommendation and sort of the indoctrination of your insurance plan, you go for a checkup once every 6 months. And if you think about that in terms of, are you taking care of your mental health that good? Are you doing something for your mental health once or twice a day? Are you starting your day and ending your day by flossing your mind, right? Are you reading something positive? Are you reading something that feeds your spirit? Are you reading something or listening to something that gives you some good ideas or some positive juice in your life? Are you sitting in meditation once a day? And then I look at the doctor's visits, the once every 6 months thing, or the dentist visits, whatever. We're very serious. We should be in St. Louis. We should be coming back. We should be flying back from St. Louis right now. We should have been at an event all weekend long since Thursday. And obviously we're not, and nobody's at anything right now in public. But I look at it as that in terms of, are you going to some sort of an event, of having some sort of mastermind, having I know it's not, a dentist visit is like an hour long, but that's like your big thing for your teeth, is you go see somebody else about your situation. And I look at it like that. Are you doing something every day, and at least twice a year? Are you getting out and getting around people that are uplifting and working on themselves and doing something better to improve their mental health? And just one caveat is, I wouldn't say, it's not the same as going to a therapist once every 6 months. We're now doing therapy once a week. We were doing it once a month. That I think is something, weekly or monthly or somewhere in between.
Some kind of
There's a lot of
regularity. Yeah.
value in that, for a checkup from the neck up. But anyway, I'll
Mm.
just leave you with that: is are you
Well,
flossing your mind, or brushing your mind as diligently as you are your teeth?
Well, and we see so much about mental health these days, and being in radio and with the rock community. There's suicides that we're dealing with, but just a massive amount of mental health issues, particularly around depression and anxiety. And I think back to like how much, one, how much are these people actually taking initiative in taking care of your mental health, right? Like what are those steps that they're doing? I'm not saying that people aren't doing it, but what are those steps? And that would be the first part. But I think it comes back to this chapter of being okay with who you are, and being okay from the inside out. When you're okay with the inside out, then you don't have to go through the fluff of like what is being talked about here with all the physical stuff that we have to do. And that doesn't even have to mean like some kind of surgery of, plastic surgery of some kind or whatever. It has to do with, are you eating? How are you eating? Are you overeating? Are you not eating? Are you starving yourself? How are you dressing? Are you dressing to get attention because you're not okay with who you are from the inside out, and you're dressing a certain way to make some kind of statement? Like, there's so much that goes into this, that you have to look at, like, why are these things happening, and how could they actually be resolved and healed if we would just go from the inside out? And I don't and I find it fascinating that people don't want to do that work. Again, not that there aren't people who do, but I'm really, really amazed when I talk to people about, I'm like, they tell me how they suffer from depression and anxiety. Like, those are the two things that I talk to listeners or friends or whatever. And like, these are the two things that just go on. Like, I hear consistently. I'm like, what are you doing about it? And they're like, I mean, the biggest thing is like, I'm like, oh, well, I listen to my music. I'm like, music is great. And I love music, and I always will. Whatever your choice of genre is. But music doesn't necessarily give you answers to how, like, to take the action steps to improve. And that's just something that I personally believe. You might differ, and that's fine. But I feel like you have to do some of the other work. The music makes us feel good. It helps us forget, and it's needed. Like, that stuff is needed. I have had music in my life at very, very dark times in my life that really have helped me to just stay grounded. But I didn't have an answer about how I was still going to come out of that depressed state, right? So I needed to do the work. So I feel like there are just a lot of people out there who just don't want to do the work and figure out how to overcome depression. It's just like, well, this is what's wrong with me, and so I'm going to stick with it. And I wish so much for our society to look at it a different way, that if we could actually heal ourselves from the inside out, as Tanner said, life would look a lot differently. We would have a happier society, in multiple areas. So again, it's okay to take care of ourselves from the outside. I think it's actually important. It shows that you care about who you are and how and your appearance and how you present yourself, and that, you know, I want to be taken seriously, so I'm going to dress a certain way. Like there's ownership in who you are as a person by the way you present yourself. So I think it's important, but got to do the work from the inside out. And I like this sentence here, which actually got me thinking, because I used to say, I've said this many, many times about how I just want to age gracefully. And he says, the art of aging gracefully has little to do with physical beauty, which is what I was always thinking. It is an inside job. And I just like, that was just such a good eye opener that I'm like, oh, right. I'm like, okay, you know, like I'm almost 45. I'm like, I can see my eyes drooping here. I can see where I could like pull the skin up over here. Like my neck is thinning. I've got wrinkle. Like I could see it all compared to where I was 5 years ago to 10 years ago. And I can see that aging process, but really aging gracefully is about the inside out. And I think that was a good reminder.
Yeah, and I don't think about any of that stuff with myself or with you. I just don't, you know. I mean,
That's why I love
I'll
them.
wear the same clothes several days in a row,
Well,
which
so
is
do
why
I.
there's like quarantine. That I'm like, cool, just more of the same.
Laundry? What's
But
that all
I
about?
do, but you know, but I do think, especially having to go out in public and interact with the same people in one situation, that yeah, sometimes I'm like, I should probably wear some different clothes or whatever, and not
Maybe I should take a shower today.
necessarily. Yeah, it is what it is. You know, people are like, oh my God, you know, like whatever, right? Each to their own thing. I think there's a balance between, um, when you see people that are, I'll just say, very sloppy on the outside, um, it is likely that there's something going
Can
on
I
in terms
interrupt?
of,
But our boy just rolled over. He rolled over.
it is likely that there's something going on in terms of like, I don't care enough about myself, and I want to communicate that to the world, right? So I think there's a balance, and I think, you know, whatever, like at the end of the day, you know, like I don't not change my, or you know, wear different clothes or get dressed up to freaking go to the grocery store or to take my kid to daycare or whatever, because I feel badly about myself. It's simply a matter of like, how much effort am I going to put into how I look? I'm okay that I wear the same stuff as long as it's like reasonably clean. Like I don't work up too much of a sweat standing in front of my computer for a few hours, you know. So um whatever, this is a whole separate rabbit hole, but the
Yeah.
point is that, you know, oh man, I just have like a smell. Like I know people that have been around that have like nasty BO, and you can tell they haven't washed their hair in days, and just, you know, very frumpy appearance. And and it's not to judge or make fun of those people. It's just simply the fact that like that is an outpicturing of how you feel about yourself on
On
the
the inside,
inside.
yeah.
And I think the more that you start to learn, at least for me, the more that I've started to learn about myself and why I do things, the more that I have, you know, come to learn and, I don't know, appreciate, I guess, for lack of a better term, right? Learn about other people and appreciate about under other people, and not just judge on the surface level of like, oh, look at that sloppy person or look at this, but more think about like, oh man, there, you know, there must be something going
Going
on
on,
there.
right.
And he gives a couple
Mhm.
examples in here, you know, of a guy that had like a naked woman tattooed on his arm, and this like old guy that was clearly bald but wearing like a bright red toupee, and you know, just like funny, I don't know, I just call funny things. Like we're all individual expressions, and we choose how to do that. And so I don't get too hung up on the outward appearance, but I like the message here that aging and letting go, or not being so hung up on the outward appearance, is an opportunity to go uh, deeper within.
Yeah. So I'll end with this. It says, I want people to understand that aging is beautiful. The call to authenticity is one of becoming real to who we are on the inside, and allowing that to show up on the outside. It is the inner light of who we truly are that creates our true beauty. And I think if more people can see that, I think we'd have a very, very different world. So we're wishing you inner beauty tonight, and we'll see you next time.
Tomorrow, the next day, and for the rest of your life. Good night.
Bye.